If your guests are walking past your photographers, skipping the photo experience, or they're saying no at the sales counter, your team might not be the problem. The real issue, you don't understand why guests say no or how to turn that no into a possible yes. So let me ask you some questions. Do you know when and where guests first become aware of your souvenir photography? Are guests considering the souvenir photographs only when they arrive and once they see your photographer? Can you pinpoint the moment guests decide to take photos, or if they keep walking? Are you relying on guests to opt into photos, or do you let your photographers know how to lead the interaction? If you answered, I'm not sure, or no to any of these, you probably don't have a guest journey map. And without it, you are flying completely blind. I'm Jeff Secrees with Souvenir Photography Advisors. In this video, I'll walk you through the simple visual tool we use to help teams understand what guests are thinking, feeling, and deciding, so they can turn more encounters into photos and more photos into purchases, and to do this consistently. In this video, you're going to learn the 6 guest journey phases that drive connection and positive purchasing decisions, how to spot where your team has room to improve, and how one team doubled the per capita revenue in just 2 days with one simple shift in perspective. And yes, you can download our Souvenir Photography guest journey map and start applying it today. Or you can contact us and we'll facilitate this for your organization or attraction. All the links will be in the description. So let me ask you to sit for me a moment and just share this example of how this works in real life and how powerful a simple moment can be when your team understands guests and the dream outcomes. I once trained a souvenir photo team in New York City. It was a huge attraction, has tons of guests, but their photo revenue was stuck around 35 cents per guest. So I walked through the attraction to understand from the guest perspective as a paying guest. And here's what I noticed. The guests were excited, they were thrilled, and they were amazed by the view. This was something they did not get back home. But the team, they were flat. They were disconnected. It was like any other day for them, simply a job. Other than the view, the photo team didn't really understand why the guests were there, what made it special for them, and how to connect with guests. To the photographers, it truly was just a job, but to the guest, this was a moment they've been planning for, sometimes for years. So instead of sitting down with the team and lecturing them on what they did wrong, I ask really simple questions. Who did you talk to this week? Where were they from? What made them smile? What were they most excited about? And did they come often, or was this their first visit? As we went through this exercise, you could feel the difference in the room as they started to connect the desired outcomes of guests to their actions as photographers. Just 2 days later, they didn't just feel different, they performed entirely different. And the result, their per capita revenue had doubled. That's no gimmicks, no tricks, just clarity. They better understood the guest journey, and they showed up like it mattered. Now, another time I worked with a team of photographers who had just moved to the Middle East from various countries. They were excited, but completely inexperienced to hospitality, photography, and attractions in general. Can you imagine it? New country, new culture, and new job, and now they had to walk up to strangers and make them smile and take a high-quality photograph. That is tough. And I get it. When I first captured souvenir photos of guests in a Florida theme park, I personally was terrified. But the breakthrough for this team came when they stopped worrying about special scripts they thought they might have to say, or being rejected and told no, and started seeing guests as people, just travelers, families just like them. When they understood who they were serving, everything clicked. They went from hesitant to helpful and nervous to intentional, and guests responded positively. They were more likely to stop and more likely to view, and they made more purchases. But here's the truth. If your team doesn't understand the guest journey your guests are on, how can they possibly understand what success looks like for them? So how do you give your team a perspective and understanding of your guest so they can connect with them in a way that delivers that success? Well, that's where the Souvenir Photography Guest Journey Map comes in. It's a visual tool that breaks down the guest experience into 6 key phases: awareness, consideration, booking, the experience, photo preview and purchase, and advocacy. Now, at each stage, your guests are thinking, feeling, and deciding something. And this helps your team understand what that might be. And when your team understands what those are, they can take the right action at the right moment. Now, many attractions and souvenir photo teams never map this. They may spend millions of dollars on designing rides, environments, and shows, but when it comes down to guest interaction around souvenir photography, it's often left to chance or luck. But these teams are missing friction points. They miss emotional triggers, and they miss the opportunity to create consistency and connect with their guests in a meaningful way. That's why guests walk past your photographer or experience, and that's why your sales are low. A guest-centric experience doesn't happen by accident. It happens only by design. And this map provides your team with a step-by-step guide to map the journey and start increasing guest satisfaction and your revenue potential. Now, I want you to use it to ask questions like this, which are straight out of the guide. What messaging or visuals, if any, are influencing awareness of our services? If guests are considering before arrival, what tools or content are shaping that decision? Are your offers compelling enough in the moment to spark an immediate yes? Does your photographer create a sense of comfort, connection, and confidence before the photo is even taken? Or are there visuals or verbal prompts that encourage guests to take action now, not later? Now, I want you to use the Souvenir Photography Guest Journey Map to refine your communication with guests before they arrive, to increase clarity and facilitate decision making. Refine your photographer's approach to increase guest engagement and capture rates, and enhance how and in what order guests view their photos to increase emotional investment and commitment. And provide purchase options that allow guests to remember, relive, and share photos from your attraction that guests want to own and share. So, if you're ready to stop guessing and start creating intentional guest-driven experiences, download our evaluation copy of the Souvenir Photography Guest Journey Map using the link in the video description, or click the button on this page. I want you to print it out, walk through it with your team, and start fixing the moments where things start quietly going off track. This is just one part of the system we use as Souvenir Photography Advisors to help teams grow revenue, streamline workflows, and elevate the guest experience. For more tools and support like this, visit our website or schedule a discovery call. Thank you for watching, and stay guest focused.